my good day, viewers. I am your host, Kamal Haynes. Welcome to 284 Media. On today's featured interview, we're here to speak about the opening of the new law year for 2025. And joining us virtually in studio is Mrs. Michelle John-Theobalds, Chief Registrar of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. We get to all those details right after a quick commercial break.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Pop the Balloon or Find the Connection. Let's meet our first contender, ladies. Okay, Joey, so do you have any toxic traits?
I'm very restrictive. I don't give more time. What you get is what you get. I don't like to give unlimited time. That's it.
Okay, can you tell us why you popped your balloon?
That's a little too restricted for me.
Thank you for coming. Okay, ladies, so let's meet our second contender.
Sorry, excuse me. Why did you pop a balloon?
I
could give you minutes, data, unlimited call, overseas call, fiber. What else you need?
My friend used to date you. You are scam. She used to pay for everything and more. Nothing to offer.
Okay, ladies, let's welcome our last contender. You look nice. Can you tell us your name?
Thank you. My name is Christian Charles Thomas. They call me C Sweetie.
What do you have to offer these ladies?
Well, security, trust, unlimited time, and a pretty fast.
Okay, so do you have any deal breakers?
Nah, but here's my number. 444-4444. Y tú, vida ilimitada.
Okay, guys, so no pop balloons.
For a fast, reliable, and secure connection for your personal or business life, call us at 444-4444 or visit any of our CCT stores and we'll get you connected with the perfect match for you.
Well, viewers, as promised, we have with us the Chief Registrar in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, Mrs. Michelle John-Theobalds, all the way from Saint Lucia, here to join us to speak about the 2025 law year. Well, thank you so much for your patience, Mrs. John-Theobalds, and for your time to grace our BVI audience as it relates to what's in store for this Friday.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, so what can you share with us about this 2025 law year? We know often this year, every year is a traditional ceremony that takes place where we have featured guests, and just to speak on in terms of, you know, what the year will entail when it comes to law across the Eastern Caribbean and the territories and countries that are all part of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court.
Every year, the legal fraternity, the bench and the bar, we look forward to the opening of the law year. And this year is no exception. This year, the activities that we usually have continue, which would be a church service that normally started off, followed by a special sitting to mark the opening of the law year. And at the special sitting, we would hear from His Lordship, the Honorable Mr. Mario Michel, who's our acting Chief Justice. He will deliver the feature address. And after his address, this will be followed by addresses from a number of speakers throughout the Eastern Caribbean, the territory of the Virgin Islands included. So we are looking forward to that. I'm told that in the BVI, that you can look forward to a church service at some Friday morning at 8 a.m. And that will be at let me make sure I get it right, the Road Town Methodist Church. The Road Town Methodist Church. And that will be at 8 a.m. And it will be followed by the special sitting at 10 a.m. So we're looking forward to it, and we really would like the public to join us, because as we normally say, it's not my court as a lawyer or chief registrar or that of the judges of the court. It's really the court of the Eastern Caribbean people. And we would like them to get involved in the business of the court and just come to hear what the court is really doing for the citizens of the Eastern Caribbean.
Okay, excellent. And in terms of the slate of activities scheduled across the select Caribbean territories, I'm sure obviously it's a difficult task because all of these activities happen simultaneously across these respective countries, and then in terms of the main sitting, it's also broadcasting in each of these countries at the same time as well. Speak on what goes on in terms of the intricate details to put together this annually.
Well, as you would well imagine, it is quite the production. It's a lot of hard work because although the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court serves 9 member states and territories, as you correctly said, we are separated geographically by water. So we had to find a way to sort of bring us together. And in years gone by, we would have had separate special sittings, just like we were having separate church services. But since COVID, we sort of started trying to bring us together in a virtual space so that we could just all work together to achieve the common goal, which would have been opening the law year. So in previous years, you would have had the Chief Justice's address being broadcast via simulcast from wherever the Court of Appeal would have been sitting to open that year. And then we would have broken off and each island would have continued with their individual sittings. But since COVID, since 2021, we've been having one sitting, and this year is no exception. So the Court of Appeal will be sitting live from the state of Saint Lucia. It's our turn to host this year. And then the Chief Justice will deliver his address at 10 a.m. and he will be followed by our esteemed speakers, all coming in from Zoom, except the representative from Saint Lucia, who will be present in the same space as the Chief Justice. But we will get all our other speakers coming in via Zoom from their respective courthouses, and we would all be viewing the sitting collectively at that time. So there was a lot to get into it, to make sure we have enough bandwidth, the proper internet connection, the logistics, get it all sorted. But I think we're nearly there. We're practically ready in the islands, and we're super excited.
Great. And as you said, even factoring in the church services, etc., that are going to be occurring across the 9 countries and territories, those have to finish on time to ensure that when the virtual sitting starts, everyone is there to contribute in a timely fashion. So I'm sure you guys have a lot on your plate come over the next 24 to 48 hours. I want you also to speak on, technology has made this possible through, generally in the past, I assume persons would have had to travel to the respective countries where the sitting would have been held. Now they're able to lend their voices and presence virtually. I want you to also speak on, in terms of each lawyer, I'm sure there are goals that are set by the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court to achieve throughout that specific year. And we do know oftentimes in the Caribbean, the talk has been as it relates to a backlog in cases and how technology can be used to help speed along the process for those persons who are due for a fair and respectful trial. Speak on, in terms of 2025, are there any goals in particular from the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court that you guys would like to achieve in 2025?
Well, first of all, I just want to touch on technology, because you mentioned in the start about technology. The ECSC prides itself on using technology. This has really been a saving grace for us, especially because of what we do as a court. Largely, we depend on being in a physical space. COVID sort of forced us to think outside the box. And although we are much better in terms of social distancing and the entire COVID, the pandemic, but we realized that we could still leverage the technology and what we used in times gone by to ensure that we maintain our efficiency and our overall efficacy as a court, to ensure that we can administer justice in the manner that we need to. But in relation to the court setting goals for the year, our theme for the opening of the law year 2025 is accessibility and awareness, the ECSC bridging the gap through community engagement. And this really speaks to the trajectory that the court has been on since September and leading into this year, where we've started a public education campaign. You see, we've realized that there is somewhat a disconnect between the public and the court. We find that although this is a regional court, this is our court, it belongs to the people of the region, the people don't know enough about the court, what the court is doing, the activities, what it takes, the different processes that we have, that we need to put in place to just achieve our goals, from an everyday hearing to something as grand as an opening of a law year. So what we really want to do is educate persons on the role of the court, the function of the court. And we've started this education campaign, this public education campaign rather. We've done a number of school visits by His Lordship, the Honorable Mr. Mary Michelle, who's our acting Chief Justice. And we've also started a lecture series. We've had the first lecture, the debut lecture was done by the Honorable Attorney General of St. Kitts and Nevis. And that was a very engaging lecture. And we're looking forward to other lectures coming on for the year. And we have a number of different activities that you will hear more about as the year goes on. But really the trajectory that we're going on, in addition to achieving our mandate of the administration of justice, is really to get people to know more about the court, the role of the court, and our responsibility to the citizens of the Eastern Caribbean.
Okay, excellent. And as it relates to the Virgin Islands, I'm not sure if you can speak on in terms of some of the initiatives that may have been penned to be executed here in the territory, but to your knowledge, if you can, what would that look like for us here in the BVI?
I could only speak to what we may have that we would like to roll off, and some of these activities relate to students and certain activities that we have for schools to get students the more aware. And we have not been to the BVI for the school visit. So I think that we can look forward to that as well.
Okay, great. And in terms of some of the overall goals, I know, as you said, bridging that community gap, educating the general public on the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, their rights as well in terms of how they can utilize the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court to perhaps get any justice that is needed. As it relates to that as well, for 2025, are there any other overarching goals set out by the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court?
Well, we have quite a few, and I don't want to give it away too much, except I want to just encourage persons to tune in on Friday, because the Chief Justice is going to highlight the achievements of the last law year, and also give snippets of what citizens can expect from the court. And that, of course, is included in there. We also have our court's website that is kept up to date And we encourage persons to visit because there's a wealth of information there as well. So we want persons to log on. It's www.eccourts.org. So that's eccourts.org. And you can find out so much about the court. And I think persons should tune in on Friday to hear what plans we have in store. I don't want to give it away.
Okay, because I had to obviously try to see what I could have gotten out from you prior to Friday, during my journalistic duty. But nonetheless, as you said, it's all about tuning in on Friday to hear the many guests, especially His Lordship, as it relates to some of those initiatives from the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. But before we go, any lasting words you want to leave for the BVI audience?
I just want to let the people of BVI know that the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court is your court. This opening of the law year is quite an achievement for not only the legal fraternity, but also the citizens of the territory of the Virgin Islands. And we just want to encourage you to be a part of it. We have the church service, as I indicated, at Roadtown Methodist Church. Be a part of that. Then you can join the court sitting from the courthouse, and it will be viewed. It will be aired live across the Eastern Caribbean, also live on the various GIS stations throughout, and of course through the court's website. So it's your court. Please don't miss it. Plan to be a part of it.
Well, I want to thank you, Mrs. John-Theobalds, for your time to share all that wealth of information of what the viewing public can look forward to come this Friday across the 9 countries and territories of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. Well, I hope you, the viewing public of the Virgin Islands and the wider Caribbean, got all the information needed. Until next time, I'm Kamal Haynes, reporting.